winner here goes up against KC tomorrow to see who will get the rematch for that single slot into the MSI main stage. Loser is eliminated. So high stakes across the board. Both teams really want to show what they're made of as we enter picks and bans. Nautilus going to be taken off the board. Nefiri, Poppy, a lot of jungle focus coming in from the side of DCG, trying to limit Josedeodo.
And I think it's a well-earned respect. He played absolutely fantastically yesterday, and as well has been kind of their powerhouse jungle in their domestic split too. Being able to focus on him, I think, is going to be a good call for DCG. And you know the Pop 9 still wants to go towards, well, the Vi I was going to say, but like Lee Sin, Rek'Sai, these kind of picks. So if you can try and remove things like the Poppy, it definitely makes those picks stand out that bit more.
Yeah, and I think DCG often at their best when they have these very straightforward engage tools, these champions that kind of rally everyone together, right? When Vi pushes ult, everyone can follow up. It's such a clear indicator. You're not playing this spacing game with something like a Karma support. You really want those reliable go buttons, and that is currently what TL are trying to take away. Triple jungle bans, though. Lee Sin, 5 jungle bans in the first phase. We're getting deep into the pools. And look, we saw Qiyana early. We've seen multiple different champions buffed on this patch in terms of what they can do in the jungle. Jarvan going to be the immediate pickup. This was a bit of a tragic one for Pop 9 in that game too. I think he is looking for a bit of redemption. There were some really rough moments around that dragon, especially where Busio just walked up and stole it. I have a feeling today we're going to see a lot more from it.
Yeah, curious now how Team Liquid would want to try and respond. Looks like they're just going to try and focus on bot lane, especially with the Nautilus gone, but going back towards the Bard, who can roam so effectively and impact the map, I think is a good call, because we know the real of DCG like to get active in the early stages of the game. So if you can try and match some of those plays with the Bard, could work out well. And the Xin Zhao, kind of the other clear-cut jungler with so many of those bans going the way of the jungle.
Yeah. I mean, no surprise, Josedeodo's most played domestically, one of the premier jungle options, really has been for the entire split. Calling the debate here for DCG, but between the Bard, you know, immediately kind of makes the option of immobile champions like a Rumble a little bit less appealing. The threat of getting tempered faded, as we saw when Carrier played it in our last series, really can make those immobile champions a little bit weaker. But we talk about the hot pot, Rob. You as an LPL caster, you know this combo better than anybody. The Rumble and Jarvan together is a terrifying duo.
Yeah, it's very strong, especially if you can try and play up towards that top lane and lend some focus towards Flauren. But I was going to say, I feel like with the Bard as well, coming back to your point, the champions that you want to take here are going to be a little difficult for DCG. They go with the Cassiopeia. I imagine we're going to get a Caitlyn here for Team Liquid. And then the traditional answer to it is something like the Ashe Seraphine that we've seen, like into that Caitlyn Bard a lot of the times. But now you've got two kind of immobile champions that can easily be set up for picks on with the Bard. So I have to see if that's going to be the call. Is actually the Akali going to be locked in here early into the Cassiopeia.
And for Quid, this is absolute comfort, right? We know how incredibly good he can be on this pick. Of course, against the Cassio, it can be really tricky. The Shroud gets you a lot of space, but Cassio just such an oppressive laner. If she ever catches you out, procs that poison, the Twin Fangs start coming in, it's difficult. But I think TL very quickly recognizing they don't want to give away any more easy engage options. So Camille taken away. ShiauC, I think, had his best game on that Camille. And generally, Camille just looking like a meta powerhouse in the bot lane.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised by the Ezreal ban on the opposite side, because I expected that Real of DCG would go towards, you know, a Caitlyn ban, try and get rid of some of these like hyper aggressive bot laners that want to just push the lane, and then you opt in towards the Ezreal yourself, and they can have some sort of control over that bottom side and still keep that mobility. But instead, maybe fishing for something like a Xayah Rakan instead. But I imagine the Caitlyn will be the ban.
And I think when you look at the way that TL is banning, it is so centered on comfort for DCG. I think they feel like, hey, we're the better team, and when push comes to shove, if we are playing meta or we are playing conventional picks and you're not on your signature picks, the picks that we saw or the picks that we saw you succeed on yesterday, it doesn't feel like they think that DCG could compete. Still gonna have to see though if that level of execution for TL is here. Also, with I don't know. No.
I mean, he saw it from Morgan yesterday into the Gnar, but that was more of a counter pick. So,
okay,
but I mean, Morgan going back towards more what he played in the regular season and playoffs, right? It was about putting him onto that tank duty. Yesterday, we got to see him kind of pop off in the carries, which we haven't seen from him in a while, but just going back towards more standard here in this split.
That's true. Against Ornn, the carries. Against Flauren, the tanks, you know? Mm-hmm. Someone you can bully and lane easily like Doran. You got to bust out those. I'm kidding.
Can't even finish it with a straight face.
Did you see the KC series? I can't be talking any smack about anybody on that T1 lineup. The debate here, though, from the side of DCG, Feng, what is the choice going to be? So Rakan, another proactive engage champion. This is what we know ShiauC for, right? Across all of the years of ShiauC, whether it's on this roster or any other, he has been the big engage player. And Rakan, maybe not as explosive early as something like a Camille or Pyke. Doesn't have that solo kill pressure, but certainly still has a lot of playmaking potential.
Yeah, and I imagine it will be the Xayah, because that was kind of what we were saying. Like, if you're going to go this style, you want to have some sort of mobility to deny the Bard, but maybe not going to be the case. I don't know if I love this, though. I think their biggest worry is because they hovered the Mel from Team Liquid earlier on, and that's just not going to be a good time if you're the Xayah into that Mel, so maybe just trying to play a little bit more scapegoat around that.
Yeah, and I think when you see the Jarvan, the Rumble, and the Jhin together, this is a trio. You know, often we see paired with a Yeon, not a Cassio, that we know can just be this really long-range dive threat. Jhin always able to help set up and support with additional CC, but at the same time, you know, not maybe a Kai'Sa that's going to dive in with these champions or follow this Rakan. It's a little bit dissonant in terms of what some of these picks are doing.
It's also just very hard to set up as the Jhin in this, because you're into an Ornn, you're into the Bard, both long-range ultimates that can kind of snipe you down if you ever open up early with the curtain call. So it does become a little bit more difficult for Feng to have that in the team fights. And I mean, for Team Liquid, you can see they kind of just set up for a very strong front to back with this Akali playing for flank. And when you look at across the relief of DCG, a lot of that is dive with the follow-up from the Cassiopeia and the Jhin. So if that can be disrupted by some of those big ultimates like the Bard and the Ornn, I think Team Liquid have a good shot here.
And really surprised to see Varus go this late, but it is just a new patch and a new meta, a champion that's not getting quite as much attention as it did in any of the domestic playoffs. But really, you know, TL set up with a pretty dominant 2v2 bottom lane. Want to see that uptick in performance from Yeon, especially today. See if he can kind of level up, not to what we saw domestically. Domestic was also a struggle, right? But when we think about Yeon for the last 3 years, as opposed to just this year, was this really standout player on an otherwise struggling TL lineup. Rebuild the roster around him this year, but it's the rest of the roster that's been shining. Well, he hasn't had that same shimmer, that same spark, and I think this matchup today is a good chance for him to really bounce back, to show how dominant he can be.
Yeah, because it was his lane partner that I was incredibly impressed with yesterday. I think CoreJJ on the Nautilus looked fantastic, working really well with Josedeodo. And even though they did end up losing 3-0 to T1, I think there was real moments where that jungle support shined. So I really want to keep my eyes on these two today, especially with the Bard being able to roam and support Josedeodo. How do they try and influence the game? Because against T1, they had this invade game one where they tried to split the map and play through a strong side. But I don't know if that'll be the call here.
I think the thing that we have to accept anytime we load into a game of League of Legends with Relove Deep Cross Gaming is that fighting could happen at any moment.
Yeah.
And frankly, I'm here for it and I love it. But I wonder if some of this aggression will be tempered today.
Actually surprised to see Yeon is opting in towards the lethality, Varus, because this was gutted on the patch. Like, they took a ton of damage out of a lot of his abilities, so I'm kind of surprised to see that they're still opting in towards this as ShiauC.
See, nice initial engage. Core, big chunk coming out there. Yeah, Varus, the biggest change, not in the base damage, but in the bonus AD scaling. I think 30% taken off a full charge Q at all ranks, right? So early on, it's not going to be as important, but as you start to stack those lethality items, you're going to be missing big chunks of damage. Varus, though, I think with the lethality build, very similar role he fills in a team, like the Jhin, the poke. You kind of get some of this setup.
I'm keeping my eyes on Josedeodo here, though, because he's gone for a 3-camp towards bot lane clear, so wondering if he wants to try and make some sort of play on towards the bottom lane. Otherwise, maybe just reset and look for an early longsword, but could definitely try and make something happen here.
For now, though, a relatively calm early game. Top lane, don't expect a whole lot here, but Morgan, if he's able to find or continue to build what is just a very slight CS edge, getting some early MR can make a big difference, especially when the enemy is trying to farm you for money with that first strike. Flauren determined to be making bank here, in what should eventually be a pretty Rumble-favored matchup.
Yeah, because we've seen some people start to swap over to the Deathfire Touch, even in these matchups against tanks, but personally, I just think you end up with so much gold off of the first strike. It kind of just becomes insane later on. Like, you hit all your 2-atom spikes so early. So not surprised. Flauren opting in towards that. And as you say, I think a lot of their team fight is going to rely on things like this hot pot combo, but also the miasma from HongSuo to try and keep people locked in that and make sure that they just can't flash away.
Yeon. Reset to just come through from Core. Pop down on the way in. Quick flash back from Yeon. Nice reactions there. But that is flash for flash traded. ShiauC giving up his for Yeon, so it's still a very good deal for the side of DCG.
I'm curious how Josedeodo responds to this, because if you hit tab and you see the pop 9 is only, well, or even just see that he didn't take his blue buff, you know he's probably gone for crab and blue buff, which gives you a little bit of time here to try and play with. So he's going to go for crab, but maybe try and look for a camp on respawn as they come through, or maybe try and make a play towards this top side.
Or contesting a bit of the vision here. Cosmic Binding will connect. Knock up there. Feng can fire back, get a little bit of chip damage, but DCG really got what they came for. Bot wave in an even state as they start to move up to make sure that that crab isn't going to be taken away by Josedeodo, but a very aggressive TP in. However, all of DCG are in the area, so is going to take a decent chunk of damage after TPing in. Definitely not ideal, but now Josedeodo has to decide, can he actually contest these Raptors with all of DCG just so committed to lighting up the bottom half of the map?
Yeah, it is kind of a bit of a trade, though. Like, DCG are playing heavily for pop 9 here, but it does mean Feng very late on this.
Nice Cosmic Binding, follow-up. Quid going over the wall. The Shuriken Flip is going to connect. Josedeodo relatively low. Quick flash back out. ShiauC wants to get a little bit more flash forward. HongSuo already finds the mark. The extra movement speed is there, but Josedeodo just on the edge, just barely able to walk away. Blinking, ticking health bar. The poison gets it done. It's first blood for DCG.
DCG make it happen. Everyone had moved in to try and make that play, and now Flauren. Morgan forcing that flash there. And also now they're pinging on towards Yeon. He's a little overextended in that bot lane. He still has no flash.
Yeon looks like he's going to be able to walk away. Pop 9. There's no wave here to force the tower dive. It would take a lot of time. And remember that DCG spent an immense amount of time setting up that play. They did get first blood, but it meant that Yeon had a lot of time on his own in the bottom lane, so it wasn't without cost. And in fact, it was a really big gamble, but this is the thing I love about watching DCG is they're like, oh, I'm sorry, what? We're first hand of poker hand of the night, we're going all in. And a lot of teams just aren't ready for that. You're supposed to play slow, you're supposed to work into the game. They're like, we will bet our entire bot lane on contesting this. We will give up all wave control just to be here for this moment.
Yeah, and I think that's why I was lucky the kill went towards Feng, because he did lose a lot underneath the tower, but now still keeping relatively in touch with it. And I think they had expected Feng to have reset. I think that was the timer that TO were playing for here. But Feng cancels the reset, which means that then you have the numbers advantage here, and everyone's just able to jump in. Quid can't really operate too much at this stage on the Akali, so the chase down from DCG, perfect as they pick up that kill.
Yeah, just barely, right? Just pixels. But the fact that the Noxious Blast is able to connect, give that extra bit of movement speed really does make all the difference. The flash follow is also, you know, grabbing core just makes it such an excellent start, and you can see the joy on these teams' faces, right? First international debuts, made their way up to Tier 1, now making their way to international. Yesterday, starting to feel like a little bit of a false start, but I won't, you know, count the chickens before they've hatched. Because we've seen good early games from DCG. It's that transition into the later stages that we're still waiting for.
Yeah, I do think, though, this is a much stronger showing, though, because yesterday you could kind of see in game 1, even though ShiauC was on the Camille, it was a slow start. Wasn't really a huge amount happening, weren't really roaming. This time, though, they're already getting incredibly active in this early stage and maybe looking for more.
Top 9 going in, instantaneous Cataclysm. Backstep from Yeon does not work out for him because now Feng is just going to be able to grab the kill. DCG continuing to show that level of aggression on the bottom side of the map, and Team Liquid just have no counterplay.
Yeah, I mean, Yeon had already burnt that flash earlier, so DCG punish well. Should be able to set up Dragon now off the back of this. They're off to a flying start in this one.
Certainly. Stacking those Dragons as well going to make it that much easier. Then get to Soul Point, force TL to fight on their terms. It'll be massive for this, you know, Jarvan, the setup that he has in the fights. As I'm just continuing to chip, continuing to poke. Yeon, level 6 to Feng. Level 4, though. So it has not been a flawless early game. There is a level 6 Varus to a level 4 Jhin. So as much as that kill hurts, maybe the pride, maybe the ego, Feng has to be really careful about walking forward here. Yeon at the very least did burn ultimate, so he can feel somewhat comfortable, but pretty big experience discrepancy.
I am surprised CoreJJ didn't try and play heavier on this mid wave, though. Or sorry, in this bot lane. Because you have no flash on Feng, and I believe they just saw ShiauC reset, so might have been an opportunity there. But yeah, Feng will be able to clear out the wave mid.
Ooh, ShiauC. Quite confident in... That was just not a good Rakan W. Akali takes damage as she walks into my miasma, and you could see her outline. There's just no way she was there. But he was feeling it. In the moment, he was like, hell yeah, we're going to get her. That was the one place she actively could not have been. You would have known.
Look, that's always the beauty of ShiauC, all right? That man is going to send it regardless. Brother, it's amazing.
After yesterday, some people were critical. I was like, I love this man. He is unabashed. He's just willing to go ham. And some players need more of that. And sometimes ShiauC needs a little bit less. That might have been one of those times, but good still to see the roam into the mid lane.
So from this position, I think if you're a DCG, it is going to be a case of, though, trying to keep ShiauC out on the map. Like, if you can start to roam towards, like, Void Grubs here and that kind of stuff would be really nice. You can already see, though, Josedeodo has started this up. Has the level 6 more, or well, level 8 Morgan that can try and help him out if needs be.
Is interesting, though. Flauren also there has access to the equalizer, but no flash. Pop9 currently just spectating. We make it a 2v2. Core slightly ahead of ShiauC on the roam, but neither side is level 6. Smite from Pop9 does not work out. Immediate Q3 means that they're going to get a bit more CC. Lock up onto Quid, but he's stealth. He's fine. Cosmic Binding connects. Excellent ult! Follow-up is there, but now the Ornn Horde has been blown, and they're trying to salvage something out of the play. Quid running for his life. No one can follow up. The equalizer is there, but Josedeodo still had access to the Crescent Guard, so buys himself an extra second, but will drop in the end. A little bit of a bloodbath on the top side of the map.
Yeah, Morgan went for a heavy trade in that top line as everything was kicking off, so managed to force Flauren back, which meant he could get to the fight faster. Both junglers go down in the ensuing fight, but could have been a lot worse.
Certainly could have been. Messy exchange, ultimately 2 grubs to 1, and HongSuo is able to at least to grab the plate. Quid forced to come back to lane to try and contest here, but can't comfortably stay anymore. Yeon continuing to hold on to almost a 30 CS advantage in the bottom lane. It feels like a small gold lead just because of the difference in kills and assists, but very quickly working towards that first item spike.
Yeah, I mean, especially having that teleport as well. Yeon can play very aggressive in this bottom side, like continue to push and then have that TP in a moment's notice to get back into lane, which is kind of where he saw him start to build that CS lead off of a couple of those early plays. As CoreJJ spots Pop9.
And he takes the Raptor. Of course, Pop9 still gets the rest of the camp, and Jose probably still sad to lose the Raptors, but now they're looking to play defense on their own Raptors. Battle for camp, something we saw a lot yesterday. ShiauC wandering in the mid lane, about to tick over to 6. Is he trying to siphon experience? It's a cheeky look.
There it is.
Level 6 is there. Don't think he was spotted. The miasma comes down. ShiauC has a nice angle to make a play here, but I think we'll just walk back to the bottom lane, try to support Feng instead.
Yeah, I think it was just, hey, look, is there something here? Because if we can maybe burn Flash before this Dragon comes up in a minute 20, that could be something that we can try and play through, but unable to do so. So at the moment, they're kind of just happy to continue to play it out.
Oh my gosh. That is a lot of damage from the Cassia. That's what a little lead looks like, as Morgan is now in trouble with Flauren knocked up. Wind becomes lightning. Follow-up is there. Crescent Guard to knock back Pop9 is big. Now they're caught in the Thunderdome. Josedeodo versus Pop9. Neither one has finished that first item, but it's double buffs to Jose, but a massive health discrepancy. A little bit more healing coming in off the passive. Dragon Strike hits. Jose able to walk it off. 1-for-1 on the top side. HongSuo on the way in. Quid trying to walk away. Pop9 flash in. Auto. That's completely psycho. He's going to go for the 1-for-1. You got to respect it. But now in the bottom lane is Feng, who's in trouble. The barrier not enough. Core coming in with the magical journey, finding the CC and picking up the kill.
Great binding from CoreJJ onto that minion to actually set up for Yeon there. So they do manage to get something back on the bottom side, and CoreJJ continue to keep ShiauC off the spot turret so they can get a few more plates. The TP
in the bottom lane. The play is absolutely not done. Core, how much longer on the cooldown? It is available in time. Flauren forced to walk away. What is happening?
This game is nuts. But the thing is, though, like, while DCG are playing a hell of a lot around this top side of the map, that bot lane is opening up a steady lead. So you can see here, Pop9 thinks he's got a moment to play, but Josedeodo does a good job reading this, covers to get one back on the end of this, and then it is the kill going across. Josedeodo then kind of has to back away because he ends up so low, but HongSuo has a good roam here. But that's why I don't think Pop9 needed to go this aggressive. I think he was hoping for an auto with that passive would then be enough to kill. It's not, and he ends up falling down under the tower. But then in the bottom lane.
1-for-1, but yeah, this is the play, right? Nice little cosmic binding through the minion, really easy kill setup, but the action is not over, folks. We cannot run replays in this game. There's too much. CoreJJ is in the pit for some reason. Ulti coming down. Josedeodo, this is his chance. The 50-50 Spice Seal, who's going to get in the end? It is Josedeodo. Pop9 a little bit off on the timing. Ornn has been blown. 2 members. No, nobody going to be knocked up on the backside. All of DCG retreat. 1 member down, 1 dragon down in favor of Team Liquid Alienware. And the game continues with the gold still in touching distance.
Yeah, but again, a huge amount of that is Yeon on that bottom side. Now Josedeodo having turned that jungle matchup. Maybe they want a bit more as Flauren tries to escape.
Doesn't have an equalizer. Nice proto belt to get away from the cosmic binding. ShiauC sprinting down. Electro Harpoon doesn't connect onto Josedeodo. He's able to walk that one off. Quid needs to be a little bit careful, but Shuriken Flip takes him out.
Yeah, I think he knows he's fine. ShiauC used Flash on that ultimate in the last fight, so not going to be able to really close that distance. And I think that was the big difference maker in this last fight, was the value that DCG were able to get out of their ultimates. ShiauC didn't really get much. Flauren's whiffed on the ultimate as well, and it just meant there wasn't a huge amount in the tank then to try and fight afterwards. DCG, though, still trying to set up on this bottom side, get some deep vision. Like, this game is bedlam right now.
And I think we just have to, let's take a breath. It's one Drake to one Drake. Most of the quests getting completed, still a few here or there that have not come through. Level 11 around the corner for both Quid and Yeon. First item completion still not there for Quid, still rushing to get that Gunblade, as you can see HongSuo pulling ahead in terms of overall itemization. So still super close game, but each side kind of has their respective strong points. Flauren, I think, getting a lot of additional gold out of that first strike helps. And you saw the Protobelt getting that first item completion actually saved his life in the bot lane play. Oh, there's a play in mid lane. Yeon is going to be in trouble. Immediately rooted. Core buys a couple of seconds. Charm now fading away. Yeon wants to get the magical journey, but there's just too much damage on the side of DCG. No one else from TL in the area to cover that play.
Yeah, it just seems to be a heat-seeking missile for DCG. The second Yeon doesn't have that flash available, managing to pick up the play, couldn't keep him safe. And that now starts to spill over into side lanes, because you can see as DCG start to play up towards this top side, Quid has to back away. He can't really get much control over the map, and this can now become kind of the game plan for DCG. Overload mid, and then spill into the side lanes afterwards.
And I think this is the struggle of Yeon being that sole strong point in terms of overall gold. You can see Josedeodo, the only other member of the team who has a decent lead that's even now starting to even out, is you're very vulnerable as this immobile carry to that Jarvan, to any of the potential Jarvan or Rakan plays. It's definitely not going to get easier as we get later into the game, but I think he's just hoping that he'll be able to operate a little bit further back, you know, kind of an arm's reach away to make sure that it's not so easy for them to find those picks.
Yeah, he does just kind of have to play towards this top side of the map, because you can see the defensive line of vision that's been set up on this top side where he can actually keep himself safe. But the bottom side kind of belongs to DCG. Rift Herald up and available, though. You can see the contemplation by Flauren to see if he wanted to move up towards this Rift Herald, but looks like DCG just going to give this.
Or are they?
Oh no, there's the TP, never mind.
TP from behind. Pop9 going in. They will give it, but they might be looking for a fight afterwards. Nice equalizer across the top. Morgan in the midst of the pick. Quid immediately diving into the backline to try to play Feng out of the equation. Ulti coming in from Morgan is going to find the solo knockup onto Pop9. He'll get deleted before the fight really even kicks off. Yeon looking to spot the flanker. Flauren all on his lonesome. The flanking rumble, not something I'm used to seeing, is a flash out. Might make him safe, but he's going to have to walk a perfect line here between towers. Can't quite do it. Gets locked up. Josedeodo quick to follow. Flash forward with the W as well to seal the deal.
Yeah, DCG just way over-index into that, and Team Liquid played it perfectly. Morgan in particular managing to get double knockups on towards the jungler of DCG, sets up the team fight, and Team Liquid are going to get so much off the back of this.
Yeah, good patience, good punish, really. DCG, I don't think they needed to be there, but clearly felt like they had an angle to force the play.
But I think for Team Liquid, like, great call, right? They knew the position. They were like, DCG can't really contest us on this. And Morgan teleports directly into the middle of them and just sets them up brilliantly. Now you can see mid lane tower down. Morgan needs to push in bot. He's going to be able to take that turret as well. Actually, does he? Yeah. Should be able to take it just off the back. And then you're in a perfect spot here.
Yeah, and I think this is a really nice game for Morgan, right? Obviously playing against Rumble can always be tricky, but just stacking MR takes out 2 of the major damage threats, and Jhin notoriously really bad at killing tanks until 3-4 items. So he can just TP into your face and be pretty comfortable to impact team fights without risking too much.
Yeah, but I want to highlight Morgan again in this, because he immediately goes on towards Pop9. ShiauC doesn't get the knockup, but then gets the charge onto the wall for Pop9, which immediately gets the follow-up knockup, but then they're able to finish off Pop9, which just turns the fight immediately, because that's the main engage tool down for DCG. And then Flauren trying to escape, but Josedeodo was not letting him get away with that one.
Some calm gum chewing and clapping there from Mr. Spawn Tiberi. Josedeodo continuing to fish, and now it feels like Team Liquid for the first time in this game has a bit more of a secure control on the state of the map. Ping's coming in on the bottom side, setting up for another arena, another battle around this Drake. Third Drake of the game, 1-1 thus far.
Good vision for DCG, basically knowing where Team Liquid are. But they really need to be careful around these choke points, especially against Morgan.
Same is true for TL, though, about walking into the river here, but Morgan going to be the one to kick it off. Ornn blown. No one's going to get hit by the knockup. HongSuo going to flash back. The ulti going to completely whiff. Lockup is there from Core. 4 members locked up. Big Q coming over the wall from Yeon, but it doesn't connect onto anybody. It might not matter. Quid immediately into the backside of the fight, forced to be zoned off. Morgan just keeps walking up. There's no damage to be spoken of. And everybody walks away with their life, but it's TL in control of the Drake.
Yeah, Team Liquid kind of have this shotgun composition where so much of their damage is front-loaded with this poke Varus, with the Akali. With them not getting the kill, there's not a huge amount to follow up afterwards, but they do enough, and that's all they needed to force DCG back, and they will be able to get the Dragon.
Drake picked up. Infernal Soul would be big for either side. TL maybe laying a trap here, trying to force a fast play, but gets spotted by the Scryer's Bloom. Top 9, that's the DCG right back on the map, ready to fight for these camps, but really don't have that much vision information. It would be a gamble to step that much further forward, but Cassio here in the top lane, slowly working away at the tower. Unfortunately, Morgan is kind of one of the people that you can't really contend with. In an extended lane, sure, but in terms of immediately taking a tower, not
even then, he has Kanik Rookern and the Merc threads, like going up against either solo lane, he's completely fine.
I believe you'll kill him. I just believe it'll take more time than you have.
Yeah. He just has to stand there and dance for a little while and, you know, spin around. Yeah.
It's tough. Maybe some Magic Pen to come through a little bit later in the game.
I do think, though, ShiauC has been doing a decent job of getting vision for a lot of these plays for DCG. Like, you can see, again, they kind of have this trifecta of wards. One of them just deleted there in Tribrush. But either way, like, it's giving a lot of info to DCG about where Team Liquid are. They just haven't been able to capitalize on them. And a lot of that is because Team Liquid are playing very well around Morgan's engages and playing the front to back and kind of picking their fights at the right time. In particular, Quid, I think the Akali, like, this is difficult to try and play around. But in the last fight, you can see he ended up dodging away from HongSuo's ultimate and timing that perfect execution so well.
Very aggressive evade here on the top side from Team Liquid, and the smite going in the favor of Josedeodo. Doesn't mean that they'll secure the red buff, so has to be a bit careful here. Uses the Scryer's Bloom just to give him information of anybody coming. Has the ward there as well to spot out Jose, but Baron already here. Josedeodo just going in for the 1v1 and is dominating. Backstep is good. Now looking for a little bit more follow-up. Knockback onto ShiauC to get a little bit more. Lockdown from CoreJJ is there. When's the last time you saw a jungler just walk in and solo kill a mid laner? Well, you're seeing it now. Core in the end. Gonna take away the kill credit, but Team Liquid happy to find that pick, and DCG had full control a few seconds ago, but Cassio sticking around a little bit too long.
Yeah, nice pick. As Team Liquid going to be able to take this top lane turret. They TP'd in with the Akali as well, maybe thinking they could get a little bit more, but happy enough with the top tower take and this push down the mid.
Certainly are, and Jose, of course, the strongest member of the team. 2 items completed, right ahead in terms of XP against HongSuo. Has the full additional item completion, so knew he was stronger in that duel. ShiauC not able to get it in time. Does make things a little bit trickier. Flauren, at the very least, will be able to grab that.
He's got an Akali behind him, though.
Ornn once again blown. Tries to get a little bit more space. Has the blast cone. TP is there. Dash forward, doesn't get the knockup. What an escape. A few pixels closer to the wall. A slightly different angle. Maybe they could have got it. But a high price to pay for a single tower plate, losing that teleport.
Yeah, still, I mean, the fact that you end up not giving over that kill is massive. You still get push out in this top side as well, which will buy you a little bit of breathing room, especially for like 2 minutes now when that next dragon's up. You kind of get a chance to back and continue to get control over these side lanes. So it does buy a little bit of time for DCG, but Team Liquid would have loved that one. We get the replay here.
He just does. There's just not, you know.
No.
Who moved that wall?
Yeah.
Someone, a couple centimeters they added to that alcove. There was supposed to be a wall there.
Yeah. I mean, even if you got the bellows breath off from the clap, something, but no, just not there.
Yeah, not quite enough. But they still get the TP, which I think they can be relatively happy about. It is, you know, ultimately not the full play that they wanted, but Quid uncontested for now in the top lane, able to grab a plate of his own. Baron not sure when TL will feel like it's a good time to start this. Do not have an on-hit AD carry, right? So it is going to take a decent amount of time. Don't have the luxury of a Cassio either. So it's a quite slow Baron if they ever want to start it.
I do like how safe Yeon is playing in this mid lane, though, because you can kind of see that Pop 9 is constantly threatening on this mid wave. But Yeon, like you can see, the second the wave is done, just immediately pulls back. And even on the initial threat, as they were getting controlled on the top side, he's just playing super safe. And I think he's kind of learned his lesson from that early mistake where he got caught. And it is making it tough now for DCG to try and play through what was their Winkle.
Top 9. Use the standard just to spot out Josedeodo, who 1.6k ahead individually. Strongest member on this team relative to their opposition. Although Yeon at 3 items deserves a special mention too. Having the additional shred on those shields. I love Serpent's Fang, man. Anyone who builds Serpent's Fang, good by me. Play too many ARAMs where people don't understand the value of shielding and healing reduction. As we look at the coin-based gold grind, we can see, you know, there's some kill gold definitely mixed in there, but the kill gold is close. It's a monster gap in terms of the gold between these two players. Almost 1k more in the favor of Josedeodo. But now a potential fight of Bruin in the mid lane. All 5 flashes up on one side, but HongSuo opts not to flash here. Ulti there, not really going to connect the stun. Ulti coming in from Morgan. Look for the multi-man knock. Immediate turn coming back from ShiauC. Good ulti from Yeon in the back line means that this fight is going all in the favor of TL. Flauren running for his life, trying to burn down Josedeodo. Can't quite get the job done. Yeon moving in for one more auto. A little bit more movement speed, but it's a magical journey for CoreJJ, and it is not so magical for Flauren. Arrow through the heart from Yeon finishes the job as Pop9 opts for a re-engage onto Morgan, and it's TL in full control here. Nope, Quid forced to flash back. I spoke too soon. Full control for a half a second before DCG decided it was time to fight once more. Root onto Morgan. Knockup going to be interrupted by the Bellows Breath. Unstoppable for a second as Morgan slowly starts to fall. Yeon doing good damage. Feng locked down here. How much more do DCG feel like they have in the tank? Because Josedeodo's not even there. He's just focusing down the Drake, but ShiauC continues to walk forward.
I think just trying to buy space so then Feng could maybe get this mid lane turret, but Team Liquid able to get their place on this mid wave and make sure they don't have to take more. But yeah, this fight, and like again, I love the way Team Liquid are playing these. Like, they split up DCG so well. Pop9 playing very far back, where JJ realizes, sets up for HongSuo, but dodges away from the petrifying gaze. And then Morgan as well, like splitting again DCG. Feng has to step away, Flauren can't step up, which opens up for Quid to then get into the back line and buy that time with the Shroud to set up for the kills. So Team Liquid, again, like, very quickly decimating some of the key members of DCG.
Yeah, and obviously in the extended play, DCG happy to commit to get some of those exit kills, but the only reason it really works out for them is because Josedeodo isn't there, and some raised eyebrows in that moment.
I mean, also, like, there wasn't much in the way of armor on Morgan for that fight, so Feng able to get a lot more value, and that has changed, so may not be able to do as much work, but definitely helping DCG get one back there in the end.
Last flipper, though, coming out for Feng as well, so we'll see if he's able to get through that beefy health bar when we come to the next fight. Mid lane, the next target here. Root is there. The follow-up, though, really not coming together as Yeon is able to land the ultimate on a Pop9. The follow-up ulti, the connection coming through onto Feng, and now he's forced to flash back, and it is Quid standing behind them with an Ornn to support. It's Akali's dream! 2 instantaneous kills. Follow-up on the E2 coming in on the floor, and in the meantime, mid lane immediate retreat for the remaining members of DCG because Quid killing everyone. It's a triple for the Akali.
Team Liquid just destroyed DCG in one move. You end up going for that dive in the mid lane. They don't commit, and that moment of hesitation is enough for Yeon to get the chain of corruption down. And immediately Team Liquid pounds. Quid saw his moment, picks up Pop9, holds the perfect execution because he knows that if he can connect with Flauren, it's lights out for the Rumble as well. Quid played that beautifully.
I live for the coach campaign expressions. That was the, oh, pretty good, I'll take it. Clap, 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 clap. That's my guess. Maybe we get an interview later, we can ask him.
Yeah, I think you're going to be pleased with that one.
Yeah. 6.6k gold lead. Honestly, that previous fight felt like it was where it's really solidly established TL in control, and this most recent one, DCG again, overcommitting just a bit.
Yeah. But it's also, it is also Team Liquid not giving the moments again, right?
No,
like,
it's very true.
It's, as Yeon is playing incredibly safe under a tower, Team Liquid are supporting him. You could see that DCG thought maybe they had a moment, but they're constantly aware of what DCG are up to, and I think it speaks volumes to why, even though DCG started to get some leads, it is completely fallen in favor of Team Liquid now.
Yeah, and I think Team Liquid adapting playstyle pretty quickly after what was a very, I'd say, messy early game, a very chaotic, kind of brawly early game to slow this down, play more at a comfortable pace for themselves, and DCG, a team that's so eager to make plays that it often backfires if the enemy team is prepared, and Team Liquid have been prepared as now they start sieging bot lane tier 2. DCG have, you can see the combo angles, right? The hot pot, we talked about it, the Jarvan and Rumble ultis together, but the poke from Yeon, pretty merciless. It's just difficult for DCG to walk up right now.
Yeah, still minute 40 on this Baron push, so I think Team Liquid going to start to very quickly open up this Red Bull Barn power plays. Morgan just fearless stepping forward.
Is going to get rooted, but there's absolutely no fault. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Quid's just going to solo kill Flauren. Nope. No, misses the Q, misses the R2. We'll get the flash out of Flauren. Definitely had the damage, just a few of those cooldowns not quite connecting. It's DCG trying what they can to fend off the empowered cannon minions. Quid still hovering around. One tower, one inhibitor down. Knock him onto Josedeodo is good, but he does have the GA as well as the ulti coming in from Core to buy him an extra second. His own ulti will now start to fade. HongSuo hovering off to the side. ShiauC looking for the two-man engage. Immediate follow-up. It's a perfect ultimate. Popped out of the back line, gonna knock out Yeon. Quid now coming in, but remember that Akali doesn't have an ulti. However, he doesn't need it because Josedeodo is here looking to make the difference. 4 members of DCG repeating it is a 1-for-1. Yeon for HongSuo, but it's TL in the base, empowered by the Baron. However, they don't want to push for any more. They don't want to risk it. Happy to get double inhibitors and walk away.
Just going to step back. Little risky with a good engage from ShiauC, but again, Team Liquid end up completely routing them. Turn it back. Will get the inhibitors that they want. And DCG, it all kind of comes to nothing.
It does. Nice to give themselves a bit more space, but ultimately TL kind of got what they came for, right? Both inhibitors down. 12 seconds until the Dragon, something DCG are clearly ready to fight for, but at this point in the game, with lack of inhibitors,
yeah.
I would agree. I don't know if that'll stop DCG, however.
Yeah, I think at this stage, like, Seeker's Arm Guard completed for Quid. You still haven't burnt that GA on Josedeodo.
Even if you get the Drake, you might just lose the game. Look at bot lane. It's in such a disastrous state. If you lose more members than Team Liquid in any kind of fight, it would fall apart. DCG recognizing it. It's definitely not what they want, but they just really have no other choice. The risk is too high to try and contest. So now it's Infernal Soul, which for Yeon is a dream come true. This man getting a lot of free damage already with the Poke Varus, and that number only going to go up.
Yeah, I think if you're DCG, you're really hoping that Team Liquid kind of flub on the initial engage, because again, like, a lot of that damage with like perfect execution and Yeon very front-loaded, and then maybe you can find a moment, but I think you need several to try and bring this game back from the brink, and you're not getting it.
Nope. ShiauC caught out. Goes for a bit of a charm, but is instantaneously knocked down. Game 1 looking like it's not going to end with a bang or a big explosive fight, but just a quick pick on the ShiauC. See if DCG can mount a greater defense, but it's just going to be so difficult. Quid has the arm guard, as you highlighted. Josedeodo fearlessly running face first into this tower, which might get a little bit punished. But again, still has the GA from the previous fight. Quid hovering off onto the side. Good initial CC, lockdown. Miasma taking away. He's desperate to get over the wall. Flipping back, but the ulti coming in from Core denies the curtain call. Ulti from Yeon connects. Pop9 able to escape for a moment. So still in trouble. It's a little bit messy. TL trying to shepherd DCG in, but DCG holding the line for now.
Still, I mean, even with this, Team Liquid kind of just get to reset and then go for the Baron in a minute 20. So the waves are still pushed in. Those super creeps still doing work. So even though it's a little messy, I think it's still just kind of like a stopgap until we get towards that Baron.
Certainly is. And yeah, Quid, absolutely terrifying, right? Quiet start up against the Cassio, kind of as you expect in lane, but 6-0-1 now. Almost a 3K gold lead, empowered further by Morgan upgrading the death cap into whatever the greater adjectives of death and
I don't know
cap
what it is
are.
anymore. Yeah. Do they even get names now?
I used to know them because Medic was really weird and competitive about knowing all the names of the items.
I think they got rid of them when they like changed it to be like you just get 1,000 gold stats.
Yeah, I think it was Death Crown.
Yeah.
But that doesn't feel like an upgrade of a hat. There has to be a better hat word. Crown feels like its own article of hats.
Yeah. But I mean, even the fancy hats are just called like top hats. We didn't really work on the hat nomenclature, you know?
Rabadon's top hat. It doesn't even... Rabadon's murder top hat. It doesn't really flow off the tongue. Yeah. I see. Maybe we do need writers. Maybe that is an important thing to have for video games. Maybe there's something to be said for that. Now, Quid, whatever he has in his inventory, whatever has been empowered, it's given him a hell of a lot of AP. And in the previous fight,
he looks spiffy.
He looks very spiffy. Why a ninja needs a hat beyond me, but looks damn good in it is Quid just hovering around, lurking. And the Baron now going to fall. DCG again just pushed so far back in. The inhibitors have not respawned, so it just makes for an easy setup for TL. No contest for DCG. They do poke their heads in just to see if there might be an angle. Now here in this Red Bull Baron power play, likely the final of the game. Nearly a 9,000 lead for Team Liquid. The first 10 minutes of the game, incredibly scrappy. Yeon caught out some really good angles of attack in that first play on the bottom side of TL's jungle. But after that, it has really been the TL show from start to finish. And well, we're just about at the finish as Ornn now in trouble. ShiauC going to full commit. Josedeodo immediately goes over the wall and looks to turn the play on the head. Core buys himself an extra second. Very likely to still burn in the equalizer, however. Does get knocked down. Pop9 going to drop to Yeon off to the side. In the meantime, Feng, the only one left standing, as far back as he possibly can, but I don't even know if the fountain can save him. Team Liquid, the victory march down the middle lane. Yeon flash forward. The ulti. Quid jumps in to steal the kill. 12K advantage. Team Liquid fired up in day 2.
It was fisticuffs in the early stages, but DCG just kind of ran out of steam as Team Liquid looking confident in that mid game to take down DCG in game 1.